Hey, it's Ethan here at eTrailer. Today we're going to be taking a look at showing you how to install the Yakima Outpost HD truck bed rack on our 2022 Nissan Frontier. This is going to be a good option for you if you do overlanding a lot and you need somewhere for your tent to go, or if you just want to mix and match some accessories, different things that you want to get off of your bed but still have access to because it doesn't sit too high. It's going to be able to support up to 500 pounds on road, but it also has an off-road rating of 300 pounds. Has a ton of cool features, so let's check it out. First thing we'll take a look at are these crossbars. So the HDs for heavy duty, which these crossbars definitely are. They're rugged. At the top here you can see that it does have a T-track slot for your accessories. You can put load stops in or accessories, clamps, things like that. We have a rubber weather strip in there right now to cut down on some of that wind noise and drag as you're driving along. On the end caps here, you can see that there are some points for you to tie down some things. So in addition to being able to slide load stops into the channel, you could also strap some things down here on the side. These are 68 inches in our case, and I think that's a really solid fit. If you want to, you could maybe upgrade to the next one, but you might be pushing the width as far as clearing the sides of your mirrors. So I think 68 is a nice little in-between to get enough room for your accessories without extending too long. It is a fixed height system, which means that it does not have the ability to adjust up and down, but it's going to be sitting 13 inches above your truck bed rails, which, as I mentioned at the beginning, is a nice height. I'm just over 6 foot right here, and I could probably get most things on and off these without needing to get up into the tailgate or into the bed. It's going to sit high enough that you still have access to the items in your bed, but it's going to be able to give you that room that you need to store some larger accessories. You're not going to have to worry about your clamps underneath or anything like that. On the uprights here, you can see that we do have these openings for your side rails if you want to purchase those for the system as well. Good option for you if you want to increase your storage and get a little bit more room for you to put some more accessories on. Also, on this upright, you can see that we do have this metal anchor point which sticks out from the upright, so that's just another place for you to tie things down. It's really rugged and heavy duty as well. And underneath that, you just have a nice little bottle opener there in case you want to crack one open after a long day of overlanding. With this quick change base method that this rack or the system uses, it's really easy to take the whole thing off. You just leave these base pads on. It takes up a lot less space, so if you need a little bit more room, you just pop these off and store them somewhere. On the end here, you see that we do have this lock cord with a key, so there's one of these on either set if you want to make sure that you're securing the entire system to your truck bed so no one can just come in and take this off. The way this rack is designed, if you have a Retrax XR tonneau cover, you can actually still use that with the clamps as long as you pick up the adapters. The whole system is made of aluminum, so it's going to be lightweight, but it's still going to be really rugged and sturdy and be able to hold up to long-term use, as well as rust, weather, and corrosion. It's got a nice black powder coat finish, which is going to allow it to look nice, even with a little bit of wear and tear on it. It's got a nice textured finish. So as I mentioned at the beginning, the installation process for these isn't too terribly difficult. With the rails on the Frontier here, getting the clamps on can sometimes be just a little bit of a pain, but overall not too bad. You can check out how we did that right now. For the install process, the first thing we like to do is just to put everything out, lay it out, make sure we know where everything is and what it is. So in our case, we have the base pads, we have the uprights, we have the clamps, clamp hardware, as well as our T-slot accessories, the tracks, and bolts for those as well, lock core, key, 4, 6, and 10 millimeter Allen keys respectively. The only thing that you're going to have to bring to the table yourself is a tape measure, just for crossbar spread mostly, and a few other measurements that we'll get. But the first thing we're going to do is prepare our crossbars, so let's get to that. On the underside of our crossbars here, you can see that there's this bolt holding the end cap in place, so we use our 4 millimeter Allen key to loosen that up. And it kind of just sits in there, so I just like to rotate the whole bar and let it fall into my hand, just like that. Pull this out, and then we'll slide these two plates in that are going to hold our uprights in place. So there's 1, 2, doesn't necessarily matter where they go just yet. And then we'll replace that bolt, again using that same 4 millimeter Allen key that we used to get it out. As you can see, we already have the front system set up, including the base, towers, and the crossbars. So we're coming down to the back now. This base right here has the lock core on it, so we want to make sure on the other side that we do the opposite. So for now we're going to start with the base that doesn't have the lock. We're going to put that on the other side. Right here is where that tape measure is going to come in first. So depending on what you're planning on putting on here, your measurements might be a little bit different. I'm just going to measure from the end of the bed to the front of the base and make sure that I get the same measurement on the other side. But from here, I will drop in my square washers, my bolts, and set up my clamps. First step here is going to be dropping in the square washer. Next, we're going to reach our clamp underneath and around the rails here, and then drop that bolt in to meet it. And then just try to find a place where that's going to thread. It can be a little bit difficult to get that first thread started. We just want to find anywhere where we can along this channel to make that happen. And then we can slide it back and forth as we need to and tighten it down with our 10mm Allen key. So right about here looks good for our case. And then we will repeat this process on the other side, on the smaller channel. Again, all we need to do is drop that square washer in, put a clamp on the underside, find where we can meet that bolt to the clamp, hand thread it in until we get it to thread just a little bit, and then we'll tighten it down. Our last step on the base is just going to be loosening this up, this faceplate, so that it's wide enough to accept the towers. In your case, you might need the 6mm Allen key. I'm just loosening it up by hand. Right here should be about good enough that we can get that in there. I will just drop this in, making sure that we have the longer part facing the longer part of the other set. Just drop that right in there, close that faceplate up. I'm going to hand tighten it as much as I can. And then I will complete the rest of the tightening just using that 6mm Allen key. And then we'll repeat this process on the other side. We'll just have to use the 4mm Allen key to tighten it down, and then we'll put the lock core on that one as well. Same thing as the other side, just drop it in. You might want to come in at a little bit of an angle, hand tighten this down until we get to the point where that is secure. Grab our 4mm Allen key, feed that in there, tighten that down as well. And then our last step, just fit this lock core right here where they line up and lock it up just like that. Now that we already have our crossbars prepared, we'll just drop them in where we need them to go. I start with it upside down because it does have a ruler on there, which I'm going to use to align and make sure I have the same number on either side. So for our case, I need to come this way just a little bit. We're looking for a number right around 43.5 or so. It's kind of what we got on the first side. We might have a little bit of a taper here, so in between 43 and 44 somewhere is where we're going to wind up. Then we'll flip it over and get the hardware installed. One thing I want to mention before I flip it over is that these plates underneath, you want to make sure that they're inside the towers underneath. Doesn't really matter where. They're going to be a lot easier to slide this way once we flip it over than it will be to get them from underneath or the outside. So with them on the inside, I'll flip them over and we'll start tightening things down. Here you see our bolt. We have a lock washer and then a flat washer in that border. Here's the plate underneath that I was talking about in the step before. So like I mentioned, it's easier to just slide this into place this way. And I like to try to put the bolt in so that it catches it once it slides through. So now we can tighten it down. And it's a lot easier to get this first one than it is to get the second one. So once we have this one threaded in and tightened down, the second one will just line itself up. So get that in, tighten it down to about 75% with the 6mm Allen key, and then we'll get the bolt in the back side as well. For the back one, I find it easier to actually put it on the tool first so I can actually reach it into that channel. So I just fit it on there. It should already be lined up because we got the first one lined up at the beginning. So again, I'll just tighten this one down to about 75% because we don't want to pull the bar too far down. It just makes the other side a little bit more tricky. Same thing on the other side. Slide that plate across. Try to catch it with this bolt as it goes through. Just right about there. Hand thread that one in. Come back, tighten it down with the 6mm Allen key. And Again, on the back one, it's easier to just place it onto the Allen key and fit it up in that channel than it is to try to use your hands. About 75% on this one again, and then I will go back and tighten the other side and come back and tighten this one fully as well, and that should do it. Once we've tightened all of the bolts down, that's it for the install. I just like to do a quick shake test to make sure everything's in place and secure. We should be ready to go. Overall, if you are looking for a rugged and reliable system for you to get a tent onto, if you're doing a lot of overlanding, or if you want to mix and match some different accessories, whether that be bike racks or something like a ski and snowboard carrier, depending on how much room you have, that's definitely an option for you. Comes with a lot of great features included, easy to get on and get off. If you want to, you can upgrade or maybe check out something like the Yakima Overhaul HD system if you'd rather have that adjustability built in just to get above and over the roof. But if you do want to have access to your bed and still have access to the accessories on top without having to lower and deal with that off and on, this is still a really great option. This was just a quick look at the Yakima Outpost HD truck bed rack, how to install it and how it fits on our 2022 Nissan Frontier.